Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Hite Namani.
I was born in Aleppo, Syria, in the Middle East in 1951 to a pious Christian family. And my parents, before I was born, they lost 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, due to sickness and diseases. And they were very much suffering because of it. And they went to the church to pray to God that if the next son will survive death, they will dress him as a Christian monk for 3 years, and they will offer him for God's service. So that's by Krishna's mercy, I was saved from death by my parents' prayers. So anyway, when I was 14 years old, they were going to send me to a monastery to study, become a monk or priest, Christian priest. But that year, they decided to emigrate to South America, Venezuela. They first emigrated when I was 2 years old, in 1953. Then they came back in 1960, and I went to school. I studied, I learned to write and read Arabic and French, the second language in Syria. And at the age of 14, in 1965, they want me to go to study, become a monk or priest like that. I was inclined, I was religiously inclined from childhood, So, but that year they decided to go back to South America. So I decided rather to go back with them than to stay alone in a monastery, So anyway, I remember once talking to a priest, and I asked him, "Can you please tell me how God looks like? Because the Bible said we are made in the image of God." So he said, "Oh, that's a mystery. Nobody has seen God." And I thought to myself, how does he know? With 1 million people on the planet, maybe one person has seen God, or knows how he looks like. Anyway, so I decided to investigate more, because I read in the Bible that Lord Jesus said there are more truth to be told, but you are not ready to understand. Look for the truth and it make you free. So taking this all as a permission to search for the truth, to find more about God. So on that search, I met some friends who were practicing yoga, and I started practicing yoga, became vegetarian, And in the yoga, they also said God is an energy, is everywhere, you are God, I am God, impersonalist. I wasn't satisfied with that. And after practicing yoga like almost 2 years, I told the teacher, "Look, I'm not satisfied with this teaching. I want to know God more personally." And he said, "Oh, I hear that for that you need to practice Bhakti yoga." I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Where can I find Bhakti yoga?" I said, "Oh, pray to God, because I don't know either." And I remember the first time I came into a temple, I asked the devotees, "Can I ask you a question?" "Please do." "For you, how gods look like?" Immediately they showed me a beautiful big oil painting of Radha and Krishna with the Yamuna river and the cows and the peacocks, Krishna playing the flute, When I saw that painting, I thought to myself, finally somebody have a concrete answer, Why not? He looks really beautiful. And I thought to myself, this is revolutionary. All religions of the world are looking for God, and this Hare Krishna people has this painting on the wall of their temple. That's far out. People need to know about this, So I decided to investigate more, start visiting the temple, read more often, reading the books. And in this way, after a few months of visiting the temple, one day I went Mangalarti, one devotee gave me japa, I started chanting japa. One day I chanted 8 hours non-stop japa. Uh, and I could have full absorption in the chanting, and I was convinced that Krishna is God because I felt so much, happiness, spiritual happiness by doing that. So I made up my mind, and I told my parents, I've decided to join the Hare Krishna movement, become a monk. My mother was crying, I don't want you to leave home, you are my favorite son, I had so much difficulty to have you and all this. My father was trying to bribe me, I will buy you a new car. So anyway, and I told them, look, you should be happy that I'm gonna do that, because remember, you told me yourself that you made a promise to God for my survival, that you will offer me for God's service. So this is a nice opportunity for you to fulfill your promise to God. They said, well, we meant the Christian God, not the Hindu God. I said, you should have been more specific there. Prabhupada arrived in Venezuela on February 18, 1975. Was the appearance day of Advaita Acharya that day. After the kirtan, receiving Prabhupada, we were going, the temple received him by doing Abhishek to his lotus feet. And Havi Prabhu was asked to do that service. So that was his first time in life doing that. He didn't know actually how to do it. They explained very fast to him. But he thought that the pure devotee is coming from far away, he must be tired. Let me give him a foot massage. So he mixed all the ingredients, the yogurt and honey and ghee and all the ingredients, mixed them together and made a paste and was smearing it on Prabhupada's foot up to his knee. And he was giving massage. Prabhupada had to hold his hand on the asana because he was pressing the Prabhupada's foot. And the devotees who came with Prabhupada, Shutakirti and others, Havi, that's not the way to do it. So he was a little nervous. He looked at Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him, go on. So he finished both things. And we were dancing in the kirtan, we were jumping, dancing the kirtan. And Prabhupada was looking at each and every one of us. And suddenly Prabhupada looked at me. I never saw in my life somebody with such a clean, pure sight, so kind, so merciful, and so compassionate, And I felt immediate connection, I felt like, here is my spiritual father. He came to save me from this material existence. I felt so grateful and so enlightened. I felt like the temple was floating in mid-air, because of Prabhupada's presence. Anyway, so after the kirtan, and Prabhupada said the Premadwani prayers, and he said, thank you for your warm welcome. I'm very happy to visit your temple here in Caracas. And he gave a nice lecture, beautiful lecture. And he said, it is very nice tonight we have with us these two Prabhus. So we're looking, who are these two Prabhus? He was pointing at the deities, the two Prabhus, Gornitai. He said, they came from far away, their home in Navadvip, to bless all the people of South America from such a far away place. And there is a nice song, Can You Please Follow Me? He wanted to sing a song for them by Lochan Das Thakur, that famous song, Parama Koruna Pahundui Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra Tavavatar Sarashiromani Kevala Ananda Kanda. So it means that God Nitai is so most merciful. They brought a process which is so blissful, chanting, dancing. So as soon as Prabhupada started singing, the devotee catch the mridanga to accompany him. But as soon as Prabhupada said the first two words of the song, Parama Koruna, his voice shocked. He couldn't sing anymore. He laid his head back on the asana, closed his eyes, and we could see a stream of tears lining down his eyes. was very intense moment, All devotees were like, struck with wonder, seeing the pure devotee's ecstasy, And after a few minutes, Prabhupada came back to external consciousness. When he opened his eyes, because his eyes shining bright, and he said, Paramo Karuna, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful, so kind. Because if he would have come to kill demons like Krishna did, practically speaking, nobody will be left in Kali Yuga. Because in Kali Yuga, the demon and the devotee are living in the same body. Meaning the mentality, evil and devotee mentality is there. And Lord Chaitanya came to kill the evil mentality of the people by this Harinam Sankirtan, this chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and by the association of devotees. So now you are very fortunate. You got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Now you have to make others people fortunate too. No? So he encouraged us to preach and to introduce people to Krishna consciousness. And in February 24 was an Ekadasi. Prabhupada decided to give initiation that day. Anyway, when Prabhupada called me, I was ready, not to forget anything. So Prabhupada gave me the name at that time, Jagat Chakshur Das. And he explained to the people the meaning of the name. He said, Jagat means the universe, and Chakshur means the eye. And thus you are the servant of the eye of the world. And he was explaining to the people, you should always remember, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, God's sight is on you. He's seeing everything. Then he looked back at me, and while pointing his finger, he said in this voice, you cannot hide from the eyes of God. Everybody was looking at me. Maybe he did something wrong, And I felt so embarrassed, everybody looking at me like that. And I felt, wow, Prabhupada can read the mind. Because a few days before, I went to the kitchen right after Mangalarti, nobody was there. And I stole a Mahaburfi sweet. And I was hiding, thinking nobody's watching me. I was eating the sweet. So when Prabhupada said, you cannot hide, I said, oh, he caught me up, Anyway, so that was a nice experience to remind me that always Krishna's beautiful side is on all of us, And the day after initiation, I came as usual, to get ready to hear Prabhupada's lecture. And I forgot that the temple president told us that while Prabhupada was in the temple, we should not go to our ashram, the Brahmacharya ashram, passing through the temple's garden, which we usually did, because Prabhupada could be there sitting, relaxing. And I forgot that. And I went down the stairs to the garden, as usually I did. And Prabhupada was sitting in the rocking chair, relaxing, He saw me, I saw him, and immediately I paid my obeisance to him. I didn't have an appointment with him or anything like that, but I froze there. I was nervous. I didn't know should I go back or should I keep going down, or I didn't know what to do. So I just stayed there, Prabhupada ignored me, but seeing that I was not leaving, he made a gesture in his hand. What's up? Like, what do you want, So very nervously, in my broken English, because fortunately I learned English before joining the movement, and I went to school for a couple of years. I came out conversing in English. So I told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I just came from distributing your books in the city. And that softened him up a little bit. He said, and how Venezuelan people like my books? I said, oh, very much, Prabhupada. When they read them, they become very favorable. They come to the temple. They help the devotees. They ask me for new titles of the books. Prabhupada moved his head like, very good, no? He got up from his chair and to go to his room, and he just made a gesture like, I should come. So I went after him. He entered the room. He had a tray of sweet for his guests to come to have conversation with him. He took one sweet and gave it to me. He said, "Thank you for helping me." And I felt so much, I almost was trying not to cry, And I thought, Prabhupada's telling me, you don't need to steal the sweet. I give it to you. So very happily with this permission, I left this room eating the Maha sweet, So Prabhupada was walking every day in the park, and the first park he visited was a small park, and there were many varieties of trees and flowers and things. Prabhupada liked the place. But while walking in that park, we passed next to the fences separating the highway from the park. And one man riding a motorcycle, when he saw the devotees in orange, and Prabhupada, he shouted, "Esos demonios." Prabhupada asked what that means. He said, he's saying those demons. Prabhupada said, he made a mistake. The demons are on the other side of the fence, not this side. They are on the other side. And Prabhupada said, if people, running with their cars at high speed, if you stop one of them and ask them, where are you going so hurriedly? They say, I have to earn money, to enjoy life, But if you ask them what is the purpose of life, they will not know what is the purpose of life. He said, why you don't ask them, since they go in different direction, to exchange their duties so they can stay where they're coming from? They don't have to go running, all the way. Prabhupada had a great sense of humor also. But after that, we decided to invite Prabhupada to a bigger park, nicer park, which has lakes with lotus flowers and lilies and varieties of, animals and things like that. Beautiful park. So, and from that day, he will go to that park every morning. We will reach there by 6 in the morning when the sun starts rising. He walked for 1 hour. And different things, wonderful things happen in the park. One morning, passing in front of a lake, Prabhupada looked at some flowers on the lake, and he stopped and he asked, "What flower is that?" Immediately, Havi Prabhu put up his dhoti, entered the lake, and grabbed one of the flowers and offered it to Prabhupada, Havi was thinking that was a lotus flower. But Prabhupada told him, like he was reading his mind, it is not a lotus, it is a lily. So Havi wanted to please Prabhupada, by offering him this flower. It was a nice gesture. Once a devotee asked Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, how can I please you?" And Prabhupada answered, "Your desire to please me pleases me." So that was beautiful. That's the foundation of our spiritual life. Everything we do to please our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. That should be the motto of our activities in Krishna consciousness. In reference to what Prabhupada said about the flower was a lily, not a lotus, shows us that Prabhupada knew about so many things, material things also, Prabhupada once said devotees should know a little about everything and much about one thing, which is, of course, Krishna consciousness. Once a reporter asked Prabhupada, challenging Prabhupada, "Do you know, you are a guru, so you must know everything. Do you know how many windows are there in the Empire State Building?" And Prabhupada's answer was, "Do you know how many drops of water are there in the Mirage?" Which means your question is nonsense, A guru doesn't need to know all the material details of things. He knows many things, of course, necessary things, whatever he needs to know. Krishna will dictate to him, Anyway, so that gives us a glimpse about Prabhupada, how he knew things, in every detail. I mean, and the fact that Havi was thinking it was a lotus, and he said, "No, it is not a lotus, it's a lily," give us like a hint that he has a direct connection with Paramatma, That was a wonderful thing that, and many other wonderful things happened in that park. another day he asked Prabhupada, I see there is some similarity between the pre-Hispanic culture in South America and the Indian culture. Can you please tell me something about that? Why is that? And Prabhupada said, previously all the planet was following the Vedic culture. And in the course of time, it was lost, stopped doing it. And then surprisingly, Prabhupada told us that Lord Ramachandra was taken to Brazil. We were surprised. Really, Prabhupada, Brazil? He said, yes. That's in the Ramayana, it is said that he was kidnapped while sleeping. He was taken through a tunnel, The idea was that Ravana's brother, Mahiravana, kidnapped Lord Ramchandra, took him to Brazil to sacrifice him in front of Goddess Kali, the deity of Goddess Kali. And Prabhupada said that all the gold that was in Sri Lanka was coming from the mines in Brazil. And he asked us, is there still a lot of gold in Brazil? Say yes, plenty. So he said that when the demons asked Ramchandra to bow down in front of Goddess Kali, Ramchandra asked them, told them, well, I'm a prince, I don't know how to do that. Can you show me how to do it? And all the demons bowed down to Goddess Kali, and Ramachandra took a sword, chopped off all their heads. Prabhupada told us all those amazing stories, And one day he took a road, and ahead there was a sprinkler that was wetting also the road, not just the grass, but wetting also the road. So we were worried that Prabhupada may get wet. So two devotees, they run ahead to try to stop the sprinkler. They didn't find any way to do it. So they covered it with their bodies, and they got all wet while Prabhupada and the devotees passed through, without getting wet. So Prabhupada was looking, smiling at them. And he quoted one verse from the Bhagavad Gita that by doing sacrifice, rain will come, and grain, comes, food come. And Prabhupada said because they don't want to do sacrifice, yagya, they have to use these imperfect machines, because it's waste of water wetting the road. So Prabhupada was so much Krishna conscious. Everything he saw, he was always aware of everything surrounding him. And he will notice every detail, and he will, accordingly, he will instruct us, about very important things, like that. We should not waste Krishna's energy, and we should be aware of everything belongs to Krishna, and like that. One day at the park, one devotee asked Prabhupada, what's going to happen to the world in the future, and they're taking oil from the earth, and that may create disturbance to the earth planet floating in space, Prabhupada say, I mentioned that in the Bhagavatam in relation to Hiranyaksha, but don't worry so much what's going to happen in the future. Whatever allotted time you have, 40, 60 years to live, 80 years, you must use it to perfect your Krishna consciousness, chant the holy name of Krishna, and don't worry about people will continue their sinful activities, they will suffer the reaction to it, so don't squeeze your brain about it. Just oil your own machine, Take care of yourself. So that was a nice instruction to Prabhupada, not to get too much troubled by the problems and happening in the world, because people committing sinful activity, things will happen, bad things will happen. We just focus on our Krishna consciousness and try in this same life to perfect it and go back home, back to God. That's Prabhupada's instruction, very important instruction to all of us. Prabhupada stayed at the temple for 7 days, and different groups of people will come to talk to him in his quarters. The first group to came was a group of university professors. They come to talk to him, So that was very nice conversation they had. One of the professor, who was the voicing them, he was a little challenging, asking challenging questions. But Prabhupada liked that because he liked challenges, and he will defeat each and every argument the professor will put forward, about different subjects, the soul, reincarnation. I remember one thing, Prabhupada was speaking about the danger that if human beings don't practice a spiritual life and they just live like animals to eat and sleep and, like that, they may get a dog body next life. So the professor said, and what's wrong with that? The dogs are nice, Prabhupada was shocked, He was surprised. He told him, in India, if you tell a person you're going to be dog in your next life, he will be frightened, he will be shocked, But it's a very dangerous life, Prabhupada said. Dangerous how? The professor said. Well, Prabhupada said, I saw in New York during winter a dog jumping in the water, and the water was so freezing that the dog died, Oh, it's very dangerous. Like that. So it was a light conversation, but with a lot of challenging questions. Prabhupada, very gentle me. He was very patient and very tolerant, with that man, And after the conversation, Prabhupada always will ask the devotee to bring prasad for his guest, And one of the items was yogurt. And the professor liked the yogurt very much. He said, this is very, very nice yogurt. Never had such a creamy, nice yogurt. You should sell it, would name it Hare Krishna yogurt. Prabhupada said, that's a good idea because people will chant Hare Krishna. So it was light, nice, And the professor at the end asked, well, did I miss my opportunity for a spiritual life because I ate meat today? Prabhupada said, that's all right, just keep coming to the temple and keep hearing chanting. You will gradually understand that you don't need those things. Prabhupada was very, accommodating, So, and then other groups came to talk to Prabhupada. One night came two groups, the yoga group and the metaphysical group, but not at the same time. The yoga group came first, and the professor, he came with a student, and the nice conversation, because the professor was impersonalist. Prabhupada asked him, he believed in God. He said, yes, but God can't have name or form because that will be like diminishing, that will be like conditioning that to have a name or form. That's God is unlimited. He can't have this. So Prabhupada smiled and told him, but do you believe that God created the universe? Oh, of course. We're not atheists. Oh, that's good. Prabhupada said, we human beings with our tiny brain, we have created this 747 airplane for 500 passengers, maybe 100 or 200 of those airplanes. But God with his unlimited brain, he has created millions of planets floating in mid-air, Do you accept that? And the yoga teacher said, oh, Master, are you telling me that God has a brain? Prabhupada said, yes, thank you for accepting that brain means a person, He's a person, a supreme person. And then Prabhupada gave him the example of the sun rays going through the window and the sun planet, explaining the three aspects of God, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, very nicely. The man was convinced, actually. He liked Prabhupada's explanation. And right there, the metaphysical group came in. So we made room for them also to sit down. The teacher, she wrote many books about metaphysics. She was also impersonalist. Her name was Connie Mendes. She was famous at that time. And all over South America, Latin America. So the teacher asked this question, the yoga teacher kept conversing with Prabhupada, and he asked this question. I'm a family man and I don't have much time. How can I practice spiritual life? Please, very humbly asked, how can you instruct me to practice spiritual life, you know? Prabhupada said, oh, just do as my disciples, chant Hare Krishna. The teacher said, well, I don't know how to chant. Can you please teach me? And Prabhupada said, repeat after me. He make him repeat the Maha Mantra and asked the devotee to write the Maha Mantra for him. The devotee gave him a card with the Maha Mantra in it and gave him a book, you know, like that. So he was happy. But then the lady, metaphysical leader, she raised her hand and said, oh, for me, this chanting of repeatedly the mantra Hare Krishna is some kind of self-hypnosis. Like some tribes in Africa, they repeat words and things and they enter in a state of hypnotic state. So the mantra, repeating the mantra seems to mean something like that. Prabhupada said, but that's your opinion. But you're not an authority. Our authority is Krishna. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam. My devotees always sing my glories. And she argued, well, for us Westerners, the authority is the philosopher Saint Germain. He's a French philosopher, not much known. And according to him, she said, we should chant the name of God, I am. Prabhupada said, I am is not a name. Maybe Jehovah, Allah are names, but I am is not a name. She said, well, in the Bible, when God was asked, who are you? He said, I am who I am. Prabhupada, I'm not familiar with that part of the Bible. Any of you have read that? One disciple said, yes, Prabhupada. When Moses was asked by God to free his people from slavery in Egypt, he asked God, and if they ask me who I am, who sent me, what should I say? And God's response was, tell them I am who I am. Prabhupada said, that's fine. God can say I am. You also can say I am. But both I am are not on the same level. When God say I am the Supreme. And when you say I am the part of the Supreme. So there's a difference. No? If the owner of a business say I am and his workers say I am, they are not on the same level. One is the boss, the other is the employee. She said, well, in essence, we are all the same, you know. Prabhupada said, essence means a spirit. Yes, God is a spirit, and we also are a spirit, but He's the supreme spirit, and we are the tiny spirit. God said, let there be creation, and immediately creation was there. But if you're hungry and you say, let there be chapatis, will be no chapatis. You have to sweat to get the chapatis. So there is a difference between you and God. And we all laughed, you know, Papa's remark. And then she argued, well, we are evolving. One day we will become gods. Prabhupada said there is no such evolution. The part is always the part, and the all is always the all. The part can never become the all. And she became a little disappointed. She said, oh, we are never become one with the all. Prabhupada said, you already are in the all, but you are not the all. It's like a part of a machine, a small part. You can say it is one with the machine, but it's not the whole machine, it's part of it. In the same way, although we are in the all, we are not the all ourselves. We are part of it. Do you accept that? Finally, the lady said, yes, I agree, Master. We are part of the all. Prabhupada, very nice. Bring the prasad. He will not stop until she will agree to the philosophy that we are one and different at the same time, that Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. We are a spirit, the same as God, but we are small and He's the great. Prabhupada told us in one lecture in Venezuela, Krishna conscious philosophy is very simple. God is great and we are small. And the duty of the small is to serve the great. That's simple. So there were a couple who come into the temple from a very rich family, actually. They became devotees, But their family, they were worried, about them becoming vegetarian and giving up so many things. So they had a group of psychiatrists who were willing to come and talk to Prabhupada to find out more about what was all about, the philosophy their children were following. They were very rich people, So the name of that devotee's name was Roberto. I remember, nice guy, very kind. So the psychiatrist came and to talk with Prabhupada. Prabhupada welcomed them. They sat down and they have a nice conversation. So they were giving their argument that from their point of view, the most important thing was to take care of the person's health, not only mentally, but also physically, the body. Prabhupada said, that's all right, that's okay. But what is more important, the body or the soul? They said, both are equally important. Prabhupada told them, if somebody is riding a car and have an accident, what is more important, to save the driver or the car? So they have to agree that the driver is more important than the car, logically, And in that way, it went the conversation on and on, And Prabhupada was like repeating the importance, of the driver, more important than the car. He said the problems in society is that people don't take care of the driver, only take care of the car. That's okay, that's your job, take care of the car. But our duty is to take care of the driver. If the driver is intoxicated, he may have an accident and kill himself. So we are teaching people how to drive their car properly, safely, to reach their eternal home, the spiritual world. That's our teaching. That's our helping people like that. So they agree with that. They say, well, there are many different philosophies to help people in their lives and things. They're like not trying to agree how that spiritual life was much more important than just taking care of the mind and the body, But anyway, they accepted the prasad and everything, and they left, But they could not understand Prabhupada properly, actually, because of their own ideas of they give too much importance to the body and the mind, They thought that so many not doing this, not doing that was not so good, So they have their own ideas. Anyway, that was the last group that Prabhupada talked to. And that happened actually the same day that Prabhupada gave initiation, just a little before that. So Prabhupada was giving lectures, Srimad Bhagavatam lecture every evening. He started the first canto, first chapter, first verse, And at the end, people would ask questions naturally, and he answered them. Riyanda Mara was translating for Prabhupada in Spanish. So one evening, one stewardess came, and she used to visit the temple, but she will always argue with the devotees because she was an impersonalist. She has her own ideas. But the devotee very politely will try to convince her that she was wrong. Well, she didn't like it much. But when she knew that Prabhupada was there, the founder of the movement, was visiting the temple, she came to listen to the classes. And one evening she raised her hand to ask a question. And she asked a challenging question. She asked, why there is so much Maya in the temple? And why the devotees are fawning? We were shocked by the question. We didn't like the question, of course. We were expecting what Prabhupada was going to answer her. And Prabhupada immediately told her, tell me where is that place where there is no Maya? We should go there immediately. And the devotees came to surrender to Krishna. But because you're in Maya, you only see Maya. You know, they're trying to surrender to Krishna, trying to see the good in them. You know. So we were happy that Prabhupada came in our defense, you know. Another night, one man asked humbly the question, Master, I hear that the best thing for a spiritual life is to get married. Is it that true? Prabhupada said no. The best thing for a spiritual life is to remain brahmachari, celibate. But because you can't, then you become a bachelor daddy. And that is not good, that's sinful. So please don't do that, Prabhupada said. And when Prabhupada said bachelor daddy, he meant that somebody outside of marriage having illicit sex and having a kid, you know, and most probably will not be responsible for the kid and just walk away and leaving the poor woman alone by herself, you know, which happened very oftenly. So that Prabhupada, that's why he emphasized that sex life should be responsible in marriage and taking care of the kids and maintaining, protecting them properly, the wife and the children, you know. Another person asked Prabhupada, there are so many religions telling to have the truth, to have the light. So which one can we know that has the real light, you know, the real truth? Prabhupada said, you can't judge something by the effect, by the, you know. If you enter a room and the light is on, you don't need to ask what is the light. You're seeing the light. In the same way, Krishna consciousness is evident by itself. It's so nice. It's like when you eat, every time you're hungry, you eat, you will feel two things. Your hunger diminishes and your satisfaction grows. So in the same way, when you practice Krishna consciousness, your spiritual satisfaction grows and your hunger for material things diminish. That's how you know it is a real path, you know, like that. And if you finish eating, you don't need somebody to come and tell you, I'm going to give you a certificate, you're not hungry anymore. You know it yourself. So that's the real thing. That's the real path. Practice Krishna consciousness, you will see it for yourself. The results are real. So Prabhupada was very convincing, you know, in his preaching and directly to the point. He will not go sideways. He always go to the point, and he was always aware of every detail going on, you know, around him. His Krishna consciousness was perfect Krishna consciousness, and he will see through people, you know, their mind, you know. He could read their thoughts and know where they are situated. And to be around Prabhupada was a wonderful experience because it's like an aura, a spiritual aura surrounding him. And everybody who will listen to him and be in his presence will feel his spiritual potency and be affected by it, you know. People will have change of heart by being one moment with Prabhupada and hearing him speaking, you know. We had that experience, you know, that wonderful experience. That Prabhupada was so Krishna conscious, and he will go to the point of explaining things exactly how people should know things, what they actually need to hear. You know? Very mercifully, very kindly. Prabhupada loved people because he saw them as spirit soul. They need help to remember Krishna. And we felt that compassion coming from him. So the days flew by, and 7 days passed very fast. And the day of Prabhupada's departure from the temple came. And he decided to give a short lecture before he left to the airport. And his orange bag was on the temple room. We will never put anybody's bag in the temple room. Only Prabhupada's bag was there. And Prabhupada gave us a short talk about Srila Rupa Goswami, Shikshamrita. He quoted the verse, Utsahan nishchayat daryat tat tat karma pravartanat. Prabhupada explained we have to follow rules and regulation and act according to the direction of Shastra and Guru. And he said the word enthusiasm means, utsahan means enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is very important, Prabhupada said. And he said, enthusiasm means I have to see Krishna in this very life. That means enthusiasm. And if you follow the process correctly, properly, that is possible. You are seeing the deity. Krishna and the deity are non-different, but even personally it is possible if you follow the process. No? He gave a beautiful lecture and very enthusiastic. We were so encouraged by his words, you know. He said, follow your authorities, do your devotional service, don't deviate from the path, you know, like that, and all success are guaranteed. Prabhupada didn't take breakfast, you know, was no time for that. So devotees have a silver plate arranged with cut fruit for Prabhupada. We offered to him, you know, at the airport. And he was the only person sitting on the bench. We were all sitting on the floor. We didn't want to sit on the same level as him, you know. So Prabhupada took some fruit himself, and then he told the devotees, the lady devotees, please distribute. So they were giving to the devotees a little fruit in their hand. They didn't have cups or anything. We accepted, you know. But Prabhupada noticed that Habi was leading the kirtan. He was praying and chanting. He didn't get any fruit. So Prabhupada called one of the ladies and told him, please save some fruit for him. You know, he didn't have any. So we noticed that Prabhupada actually cared, you know, for his disciples and loved his disciples. And he's the only one who noticed that everybody got the fruit but him. So that shows us Prabhupada how Krishna conscious he was. He was aware of every single detail surrounding him, and he will act and instruct accordingly, you know. No? And Prabhupada told the ladies, give the fruit also to the passerby. And to our surprise, people are accepting the fruit in their hand, bare hand, you know. They will eat it, you know, they accepted it. So that was nice gesture of Prabhupada. Prabhupada wanted them also to get some prasad, you know, to get the benefit, you know. But a year after his visit, the temple president told us there is opportunity to see Prabhupada again. We said we were excited. Yes, tell us please what we have to do. He said, well, Prabhupada's going to be at the first peak Rath Yatra of New York. That was in July 1976. So if you have few weeks to collect your ticket, you can all go. All right. But only the profit from the book. The cost of the book will be for BBT. So if you can make it, you will come. We became crazy distributing books day and night, you know. In a few weeks we collected our tickets, and more than 30 devotees, women and men, we took a chartered flight to New York. and we met Prabhupada again. Was amazing to see Prabhupada riding the Subhadra chariot with 3 big cars in the 5th Avenue, you know, the longest avenue in the world, and surrounded by his close sannyasi disciples, you know. He came alone, started his movement in 66, and 10 years later he was passing triumphant in the 5th Avenue. Was like the zenith of ISKCON success, preaching in the West, you know. It was a great, wonderful sight to see Prabhupada so triumphant and happy, you know. So a few days before the Rath Yatra, the devotee wanted to present Prabhupada a play. Sudama was the director of the play, and the play was about the age of Kali. So Sudama was doing the part of Kali himself. He was dressed in a frock with a big hat, you know, and he had his servant, lust, greed, anger, and envy, and all this, directing them how to bewilder people, how to, you know, entice people like that. So that was the Brooklyn temple, was 13th floor high, and there was one floor just for for theater, for 500-600 people fit there. And Prabhupada was surrounded by sannyasis, and the brahmacharis we were behind. So Rasagya, she was playing the part of Lust, our god sister. She is from Germany, very nice looking lady. And she was dressed so nicely, so beautifully, that when she will come on a stage, the sannyasi will look somewhere else, Prabhupada had a rose in his hand. He was turning the rose around and smell it and look at the play, at Rasagya, and look at the sannyasi and smile at them and kept looking at the play. We were witnessing all these things, So anyway, at the end of the play, Lord Chaitanya came with the big Sankirtan movement and he defeated the Kali and his agent, and they closed their ears, frightened, and run away, So it was a big success. Prabhupada liked it very much, the play. So Prabhupada's room was on the 11th floor. I remember that. So he was waiting for his elevator to go there. And maybe there or on the roof later on, Prabhupada told the sannyasis, you should try to understand the mind of the pure devotee. When he sees a beautiful woman, he admires Krishna's creation. Oh, such a beautiful thing Krishna created, but he doesn't get bewildered because he doesn't want to enjoy Krishna's energy. He only admires, but he doesn't want to lord over it. But other men, they look and they get attracted to enjoy it. And that's the difference between a pure devotee, So he gave a wonderful lesson with that, And also they passed through, in New York, we're hearing Prabhupada's lecture on Chaitanya Charitamrita every day, and we get so much surcharge, with Prabhupada's potency and energy, that same year, 1976, we won the World Sankirtan Marathon worldwide. The Caracas temple came in first place, defeating even the Radha Damodar Sankirtan party. And we received a letter from Prabhupada. He said in the letter, I'm very pleased by your effort, in book distribution. And this is the first time that somebody can defeat the Radha Damodar. Even Lord Radha Damodar, they get pleasure by being defeated by their devotees. Prabhupada took it very transcendentally, Was a very amazing, intense, beautiful moment we lived with Prabhupada. So out of so many wonderful qualities that Srila Prabhupada, of course, had, the ones that touched me more in my heart was he was so compassionate, so tolerant, so straightforward, and so simple at the same time. He was like a child, in his way of dealing with people. No duplicity at all, Whatever it was the right thing to say, he will say it. So that touched my heart when I saw Prabhupada the first time. I felt in my heart that he was a real, genuine spiritual master because he had so much love and compassion in his heart for everyone. He saw everyone as part of Krishna and wanted to help everyone to become Krishna conscious. And I felt that in my heart when I saw him the first time. And during the days he stayed in the temple in Caracas, Venezuela, I could see that he was so fixed in his conviction, in his pure love for Krishna, that when he will speak from that platform of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, which is a direct contact in love with Krishna. From that platform he will speak to us, and he will try to make us come to that platform. That was his main goal. He wanted the society of pure devotees. That was his desire, his desire to please his Guru and Krishna. So we feel so much, depth of love to Prabhupada to preserve what he created and to try to please him daily in our daily life, to present his philosophy properly and directly, and to try to please him, because the relationship is eternal. And Prabhupada said we are going to have another ISKCON there. One devotee said, no, Prabhupada, one is enough. Prabhupada said, no, that one there is going to be different. No politics, no. only dancing and chanting and loving Krishna.
Jai Anilo Premadana Karuna Prachu Jai Anilo